Some even intermingled with beasts that never inhabited these lands. The eternal ancestral blood.
Literally called Blood Falls. Blood Falls 2006.
So how come the dragons don't fly over the ice wall into Middle Earth where we live?
To all you guys that seen Attack on Titan, what if I told you it was based on a true story? Why would they have UFOs in this moon map though, on the outer edge? You would need these type of devices like they're saying that would have to fly by air and be submersible to get to these different places. You better lock in and buckle up, bucko! Cause you're in for another creepy and scary TikTok reaction video. If you haven't already, please slap that like button. And remember, keep your head on a straight swivel on these creepy, disturbing, shocking, weird, bizarre videos that might keep you up all night.
My son's be not afraid.
Hyper mode, activate!
Chuck, pull back now.
Going into the outer lands. We have to figure this out.
You must stop jet ski, Chuck.
No, there's no turning back. We have to do this. North Pole dimensions are open.
Etheric boosters are set to maximum capacity.
7,
Activate quantum mode.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Welcome to Dark Waters 9. Activate submersible.
Crater, so they escaped to the period of Hercules, and then in the 60s, these guys, they started mapping everything where they told us that they're actually exploring space, dark space with the spinning balls, and they're actually sending the spaceships and everything all to the exit. That's why the spaceships, when they go up, they go horizontally after they reach a certain height, and then they explore everything. So the Russians in red and the Americans in blue and green, and then you have the Apollo missions, which are the manned missions. So these spots here are the spots which they got human beings sent there in their suits, obviously, because there's lots of water and there's different air and conditions. The same with the Atlanteans, the ancient aliens, which are the Atlanteans and stuff. They came into suits as well because the biodiversity in the environment in this crater was different than in their crater. Just so you notice, there's like so many big craters on the map, so you can actually tell that the crater where we live, so this is Galus M or the Line crater, they're so tiny and small, right? So you can only imagine how many extraterrestrials and aliens and ancient aliens you have. And this is only the known map, right? As you can see here, the Americans have reached with the lunar prospector until here, and then the Americans also with the lunar orbiter here, and then with the Ranger 4 here. So that's the extremes that they managed to get to. So that's what they mapped so far. And of course, imagine hollow of the crater.
That will make sense why we always see those space shuttles get shot up into the air and then they have that giant curve to them. They're going to the outer lands, y'all, and so are we.
So how come the dragons don't fly over the ice wall into Middle Earth where we live? So I asked the guy who said he's flown to New Tared multiple times this exact question, and what he told me is the dragons don't like to live over on Earth anymore because we used to kill a bunch of them, and they especially don't want to come back now because of the 4G and 5G radiation, which apparently is the same reason why all the other people around on these other continents don't want to come to Earth, because there's so much radiation, not only from the phone service, but also from electrical outlets, I guess. And what else he told me is that the dragons, they live on these other continents because there's so much space and not many people actually live there. And it is interesting how in every single culture, dragons seem to be a part of it, and they seem to be in their mythology. Maybe they were just mistaken after seeing dinosaur bones, or maybe they actually did see dragons flying in their skies 1,000 years ago. But what do you guys think? Is this guy's story fact, or is it fiction?
We are the real extraterrestrial. Terrestrial means what? Earth dweller, earth bound. Then there's extraterrestrial, which means beyond the earth. That's what extraterrestrials mean. Well, our history, if you study ancient Egypt, ancient Hebrew, and we're not talking about fundamental religion from 2,000 years on up. Real ancient scripture, real ancient teaching system, metaphysical systems, or what you call mystery systems, tell you that we once were God in control of the universe, and then we fell on this plateau. And then while on this plateau, we made the best of it. And the mere fact that the best caved in and fell down was because we inherited it. We got rid of that, or we gave it up so we could go into hibernation or go into the cocoon stage so we can have a metamorphosis as the butterfly, which means we would be reborn into a God greater than the God that we fell from, even in the heavens when we was up there doing our thing, which is higher than this.
If you've ever wondered where Jupiter is, apparently this is where it is, beyond the third ring of the ice wall, right next to Asgard, and it exists as one of the outer worlds, right next to all of the other planets in the solar system. Now, this is a map that I created, and it was based off of descriptions and drawings that I got from these people who messaged me on Telegram and other places, telling me that they have been to some of these lands, or they escaped because there was some kind of war going on. And I've gotten so many messages from people who say that I need to stop talking about what I'm talking about because they are at risk and Asgard is attacking everybody. So I don't know what's up with that, why so many people are saying that, but I'm not saying that I believe these people, but I am also not saying that it is immediately false because there's so much in this world that we don't even know, and I'm just trying to keep an open mind. Here's one of the drawings that was shared with me that I'm allowed to show you. Now this is someone who said that they were being attacked by Asgard and that they are from those middle islands there surrounded by the bigger continents. So if anybody has any experience with drawing maps or any type of artistry, hit me up because I need some help finishing my own map, and I'm going to be adding this in there too. And this all comes back to this photo that we all saw about a year ago, and we don't know if it's fake or not. There's a lot of detail in it, and all of the AI checkers say that it is a real photo, and many people have different stories for how they got this, but I don't know what it is. It looks like there's an ice wall right next to green vegetation in some sort of egg city, and it kind of resembles what Admiral Byrd said 100 years ago when he flew over Antarctica and said he saw green land over there. So if anybody wants to go to Antarctica and see what secrets are actually there, and if there actually is an opening there, it looks like we have a new person who we need to have say the word Kninigan to reveal if she actually is a shapeshifter. Now, this is all hypothetical, but many people speculate that the Cardassians from Star Trek, an alien race, was actually based off of an actual real alien species that were sort of lizard reptilian-like. And this reminds me of a whole thing from when in middle school for me, when I was a little nerd. talking about Star Trek to people, what a mistake that was. And one time I brought up the Kardashians to somebody, and they said, "Oh, are you talking about the Kardashians?" And I was like, "No, I don't even know who that is. I don't keep up with like celebrities and all that." But what if she actually chose that last name as a sort of a hint to who she actually is? I don't know. It's a whole theory. But I do think it could possibly be true. I'm not banned anymore, and I've got an amazing story to tell you about the first ever ice wall explorer in the late 1700s, Mr. William Morris. Now, this entire story comes from written accounts that have been hidden for hundreds of years up until recently, when the author Nos Confunden wrote about his story after coming across these documents that basically just told what he had found beyond the ice wall and what he had to go through to come back and tell this story to the whole world without triggering another great reset. Now, this story begins when William Morris's crew sailed all the way to Antarctica looking for the rumored Summer's Gate, which is supposedly an opening in the ice wall that only appears when it gets hot enough for the ice to melt.
Alright guys, just a quick recap on William Morris, and I'm going to do my best to dive as deep as I can on this story. Alright guys, just a quick recap. We're going to dive as much as we can on this William Morris, try to get as far as we can on this video. So this is just a quick recap to see what we covered.
Alright everybody, I'm back. I'm not banned anymore, and I've got an amazing story to tell you about the first ever ice wall explorer in the late 1700s, Mr. William Morris. Now, this entire story comes from written accounts that have been hidden for hundreds of years up until recently, when the author Nos Confunden wrote about his story after coming across these documents that basically just told what he had found beyond the ice wall and what he had to go through to come back and tell this story to the whole world without triggering another great reset. Now, this story begins when William Morris's crew sailed all the way to Antarctica looking for the rumored Summer's Gate, which is supposedly an opening in the ice wall that only appears when it gets hot enough for the ice to melt and a boat to go through. Once they got over there, they actually did find a crack in the ice wall big enough for a boat to sail through, but they were too scared to go in. But it didn't even matter at that point because they were already too close and it sucked them through. Once they emerged the other side, they came across a vast new ocean as well as a red boat. That's all they described it as, just that it was red and that they had never seen anything like it before. The boat then blew a siren that was so loud and was hurting everyone on the crew. But I guess once they found out that William Morris and his crew were not a threat, that they let them onto their boat and they spoke to them and basically told them that William Morris and his crew escaped enslavement from the actual bad people in the world, and that these lands that were outside of the ice wall are actually the peaceful place, and that where we live is the place that there are evil leaders running everything. The captain in the red boat said that he was from the Ancestral Republic and that they had been trying to liberate the people from the Middle Earth area in the inner ice wall continents for hundreds of years, but they have not been able to because they keep causing great resets where the entire population is basically wiped out and the rest of the people are made in baby-making factories and grown in a lab and stuff, like the Cabbage Patch Kids stuff. So after William Morris found out that he basically made it out of enslavement by living beyond the ice wall, he stayed there for 10 years, but he just eventually went crazy with all this amazing stuff that he was discovering, all these new technologies and how good life could be for most people, that he actually went back to the middle region and was telling people he had to keep it as secretive as possible so that he doesn't cause another great reset and for all of humanity to be wiped out.
Now, William Morris, captain's talking about seeing underwater submerged objects fly out of the water and fly away. So, okay, now, William Morris is from the book, the Noskinfunden. That's where this whole idea came from. But he would have done the same thing. He would have left... Okay, now, William Morris is from the book, the Noskinfunden. That's where this whole idea came from. But he would have done the same thing. He would have left the United States, and he would have went south, and he found an opening somewhere here. They call it, I think, the Summer Gate. But he would have found an opening, and then he would have went through and found the same thing, the Ancestral Republic, which they said they were as far from the ice wall as we were, similar, just in the opposite direction. And that makes sense. They may have been right here. It's the same amount of distance to there as it is from the United States to there. So it all makes sense if you look at it from a broad perspective. So that's 1783. Now there was the late 1800s, E.W. Barrington did the same thing, and he found an opening. When he got close enough to the opening, he even said to his captain, let's go in there. And the captain's like, no, if we go in there, it's not wide enough for us to turn around. And if we come to a wall, then we're dead. But when they got close enough to it, it sucked them in. The current sucked them in, and they went in anyway. He called it the Barrington Strait. That was in the book, E.W. Barrington's book, The Iron Republic. That's another good read. If you like the Noskinfunden books, I would definitely recommend reading that. There's even history on that, pictures of his boat and stuff. So that was a real journey. And he said the same thing, that he went through the ice wall and found more land. But I think the overall main point is that if you're going to travel long distances between these, the best vessel you could have is a dual purpose vessel. One that can fly and one that can be submerged and go underwater. And that's what we've heard from old sea captains talking about seeing underwater submerged objects fly out of the water and fly away. So the best means of travel, if you're going to do mass distances, would be a vehicle that can do both.
Activate submersible. So this is basically a depiction of giants beyond the ice wall. So this is who they're possibly battling beyond the ice wall. All you guys that seen Attack on Titan, what if I told you it was based on a true story?
A lot of these battles took place here in the known lands. It was the boom of the use of the Great Tartary and their technology based on free energy. Custodians and the Anunnaki saw their pyramids fall, and this is when they could no longer fight against the resistance. Their control was escaping them with part of their fingers. So after this huge war, the Custodians wanted to do a reset right away, but they couldn't because their pyramids were not working. They were destroyed. That affected their power of manipulation on the environments. In Chapter 12, it's telling us that the pyramids have something to do with all of these controlled environments, and maybe the ice wall itself. At this point, another war starts here in the known lands, and this time humanity will fight alongside the giants until the world is out. That itself could not be described, as it created so much fear in the surrounding lands that no one was able to witness it. Bodies from both sides were observed laying in the lands. Areas were once covered in vast vegetations, but now they are nothing more than sand and dead landscapes. The Custodians' armies were kind of depleted because they had previously had a war with the Anunnaki. You see, the Custodians and Anunnaki are not friends, but sometimes they become allies. So their army was weakened and could not afford to start a new war right now. The humans and giants were on the path of a great victory. Something happened in the middle of that time that changed the outcome. The Custodians go to the Anunnaki lands, and they wanted to reach an agreement, which they needed their alliance to be able to defeat this new human and giant army that they were fighting. Their forces could not win alone. So in exchange for a lot of gold, the Anunnaki joined them. The Anunnaki also joined them because they were afraid of retaliation from this new power of humans and giant alliance. They thought it was their best interest to join the Custodians once again, that they had just fought in a war of their own to win this one. And get this, while the Custodians were planning with the Anunnaki on how to defeat the humans and the giants, they left an inferior race in command to watch over their lands. Guess who they were? the Greys, from Zeta Reticuli and the lands of Orion. This is how the Greys started observing the Earth. They were our watchers. But according to the story, the Greys did not agree with the old treaty and the manipulation received. No one ever thought the humans would join the Giants and now be this force to be reckoned with.
You know what? After discovering this video of this guy who went inside of a cave that looks exactly like a giant... You know what? After discovering this video of this guy who went inside of a cave that looks exactly like a giant esophagus, I am convinced that there were giant mountain-sized humanoids that used to live in the past. I mean, look at this thing. It looks exactly like the inside of our throats. I'll give you more evidence in this video, but I mean, look at this. There are so many coincidences where we see what looks like giant human body parts in nature. Like, what does that look like to you? Now check this out. This is another cave. What do you guys think this looks like? To me, it looks like human musculature. And this is where Himalayan pink salt comes from. So what you're putting on your human meat hot dog is the remains of a giant human, which is basically blood rocks. Let me know what you guys think. Is this fact or is it fiction?
Well, if we look at the stories about how the giants and the humans were fighting the Anunnaki and custodians, it only lines up. This is what the wars may have looked like.
So this wall is symbolizing the walls of Atlantis. And the walls that you guys are calling the ice wall is actually a stone wall that was guarded by the ancient Elohim. And when the Zeta Greys came in to invade Atlantis, we were actually at the wall fighting. And so of course we were starting to lose this war, and this is when the Elohim had decreed to freeze the ice wall to destroy all of these creatures that the Zeta Greys were creating to wage war against our people. This is around the same time that the moon had came into position, the Zeta Greys warship, to engage in wars and conflicts with all the Elohim throughout the earth, creating clones and hybridized races to take over the people and establish chiefs and kingdoms all across the land. So these creatures that the Zeta Greys created were designed to attack the walls of Atlantis, and this is why we have froze it all and also put the electromagnetic zone over the earth to track their warship here, which is the moon. These Zeta Greys were actually at war with each other and actually destroyed their whole district, and they had to flee and find another place that they could actually call home. And so when they found Atlantis, they seen that it was fruitful, and they seen that it had a lot of technology already there, and a lot of kingdoms and a lot of stuff, established things that were already built already. So they just thought that they could just come and just invade and take it using advanced technology and creating this hybridized species. And so that's what they did. That's why you see pyramids in the Antarctica, because this used to be unfrozen at one point.
Scientists have just admitted that Antarctica was once a jungle 90 million years ago. Scientists have just admitted that Antarctica was once a jungle 90 million years ago. Secret cities and green grass and vegetation growing everywhere. The truth is also often put in plain sight for entertainment as well. We know where these guys end up.
That's the 94 X-Men. That guitar went in, didn't it? Shout out if you guys used to watch that, man. I might have to watch it all over again just to see if I see this episode.
It looks like every single country is now evacuating to Antarctica because they know that the ice there is melting in the ice wall to escape because they know they're losing the war here. Even though they signed this treaty that only allows them to go explore there, not civilians, only high-ranking government officials and scientists are allowed to go there, they are still trying to get away from it all. They already tried to make it past the ice wall by going on foot and using a crane to put them on top of it, but they realized that they couldn't make it that far because the conditions were too harsh. Then they tried digging a huge tunnel, but that didn't work either when they ran into sky ice. And if you don't know what that is, just look it up. But it's basically when oxygen gets so cold that it turns into a solid and it's like a light blue color. They are looking for the lost civilizations beyond the ice wall because there's a different group of people that's been attacking them for the past 100 years in their underground tunnels. And this war against the government is being done by Valiant Thor from Venus. And here's some intel from back in March where he talks about lost technology and Atlantis being frozen underneath the ice. And here's another update from him where he says he's eradicating chimeras, serpents, and red jelly blobs. But what do you guys think? Is this all true, or is it all just made up? Is there a secret cabal that's being driven out of Earth and they're trying to find some way to escape? Or is it just nothing and this is all just a bunch of craziness? The long rumor and not the ocean. Now, I don't know if that view is real or not, but I do know that land but they're much smaller than and they just go there to hunt crabs. But there's also the long running theory figured out a scientific reason for why the water would be like this. Maybe there's more salt in it, but I have no idea. But we gotta figure out who these two guys are, because many people speculate that they actually tried to sail to Antarctica and see if they found new hidden land over there. Or maybe they actually did cross the ice wall, and this is what it looks like when you go over there. The water is actually different. That would be just like mind-blowing. Because if the water's that different, then the land's got to be like just super weird, like fourth dimensional or something. These guys are like freaking out here. So we got to figure out who these guys are. In the comment section, could you let me know or DM me? Guess what I just found. This time it wasn't a radar. It's what claims to be actual video footage of beyond the ice wall. And I don't know how more people aren't talking about this. Before I show you the video, I'm going to quickly first show you the rumored beyond the ice wall photo that we have here, which shows an ice city next to green vegetation right next to an ice wall. Here it is. Here's the video. This is the first one that I've seen that claims to be up beyond the ice wall. And of course, it is grainy and fuzzy. You really can't tell what's going on over there, but it looks like there's a regular looking city next to snow or ice or something. And then the camera zooms out to the distance and you can see what looks like an ice wall maybe. And here's the rest of the video, which shows at the end of it a palm tree, which really surprised me because it looked like it was in a snowy landscape. I don't know how that's possible. And now here there's statues that I've never seen before, just out here. It looks like Antarctica to me. It could be in Russia or it could be at the North Pole, but I tried to do a background image search on this and it came up with nothing. So if anyone knows where these photos are from, could you let me know? I also wonder maybe this is at the North Pole because there are rumors that there is actual hidden land up there. If you look back at the maps from 500 years ago, there's a hidden continent over at the North Pole, and it's split up by 2 rivers, making it like 4 separate huge islands. So perhaps this is from over there. Who knows? But these are very interesting photos, and they just got statues of, I don't even know what culture this would be. It's unlike anything I've ever seen before. There's the palm tree. But yeah, what do you guys think? Let me know.
That might be AI generated towards the end. I'm not saying the actual video in the beginning was real towards the city. Was AI, I mean, those end videos is quite possible.
This is the recently uncovered flat Earth German map from World War II. And perhaps they are releasing it to give us hints of where they actually traveled to after the war. You see that's Africa right there, so the Earth will be right above. It looks a little bit different. But maybe they all escaped to these undocumented continents. You can see they're all charted here. They all got German names. They even got a UFO here, which we've heard stuff about UFOs in Germany back in the day. I can't use the word that they were for because the video would get taken down. So I had to block out these symbols on there. I wish I didn't have to do that, but it's a part of history. But all these places, you can see Asgard is right there too. Where did all these I don't even know what this is. This is supposed to be the ice wall, but I guess people can go live on there if this map is true. Maybe there actually is green grass and vegetation there. If you didn't know, this United States is based off of the blue map.
Of Earth resonate with you? Well, it's about to resonate way more. There's this theory that the moon represents our Earth, and only 1/4 is our known Earth, and it moves around like the clock in front. As you can see, there's a constellation wheel. The sun and moon are both connected in the center of this. And honestly, what if this constellation wheel moves around in centuries of time around the entirety of Earth? I call this the 4-quarter theory, like the 4 quarters in ancient cosmology and mythology, the 4 quarters of Earth that Enoch talks about, the 4 quarters in several Bible scriptures. And quarters definition is a fourth of something or a place in which you can dwell, which it's weird that this is literally 1/4 of this, and it's the quarters in which we dwell. So is this moon projection that kind of looks like the land from Earth enough evidence for us to believe in something like this? Probably not, because really it doesn't match up perfectly, but I've got some evidence. In order for this theory to even be somewhat plausible, we need 3 things to be happening for sure. Number 1, the magnetic north would have to be moving. And guess what? It is. In the direction that it would need to be moving for this theory to be true. But wait, if the magnetic north and the magnetic field is moving northwest, north compared to what? that is the north. Wait, what if there's a moon right here in the center? You know, the Mercator map has 4 quarters, 4 rivers, and an ultimate center. Doesn't that kind of look like it? But either way, we have 2 more major things for this to be implausible, and that is the ice in Antarctica, West Antarctica to be exact, should be melting, and the ice in East Antarctica should be freezing. And it is. This is all melting, and this is all freezing, and has a higher elevation. Why? Well, because it's constantly freezing more. And the lower elevation is because it's melting more. Now, also, direct sunlight in Africa should be increasing. The Sahara Desert should be growing. South, to be exact. Isn't that something? Huh. Yeah, you should maybe do some math too here, because it's weird at the rate that it's moving. Okay, fine, but South America should be increasingly freezing more. And it is. Yeah, that's right, it is. Here's what's cool too. This explains silly climate change and ice ages too. Not to mention finding strange animals and structures in the ice that's melting in Antarctica. Oh, the climate crisis, it's you and I's fault. What if they're just using this crisis to get some money, but then also to say you're the problem? You know, you're the one who's causing these emissions. No, come on, hey. Also, we are not having an energy crisis either. Think about the old world ships. This place was like an entire city that floated around, charged on these Tesla coils. Look, we can harness the ether energy, and I think they're doing that, throwing a price tag on it. But that's the thing. This theory, it brings all of the conspiracies kind of together. Makes it obvious of what they've been hiding. They throw stuff like this out there, and this with zero evidence as to how this could even be. When all the while a model like this explains everything. Just think about it. So when they said flat earth was a psyop, maybe it kind of is. Maybe they're only giving us 1/4 of what we really need to be looking into. By the way, I don't use this moon projection as all of my evidence. No, I look at all of the other things that line this thing up for a whole month.
But look at this though. Why would they have UFOs in this movie on the outer edge? You would need these kind of devices air and be submersible to get to these different places. Because look, is this actual proof that they see UFOs as soon as they go near the outer edge? Drop your thoughts below.
Technology bones were as sadly hidden and forgotten as the greatness of their history. And new discoveries of giants will be today and in the future simply ridiculed. Some even intermingled with beasts that never inhabited these lands, the eternal known lands, where their oceans are stained with ancestral blood.
All right, now you heard what she just said, right? Now check this out. This is literally called Blood Falls in Antarctica. I'm not making this up. There, you guys can see it. Plain as day. Blood Falls 2006. Drop in the comments your thoughts below. They didn't hurt no sheep. They didn't, nothing bad happened to any, polar bear or anything. This is literally coming out of the ground. So let that sink in what she just said. Now let's do a quick recap on everything that was said on the Antarctic War, the ice wall, and all that.
Tall Earth and Inner Earth topic is starting to gain momentum. It's not just a whisper anymore, but reality. The hole Admiral Byrd flew into, the North Pole. This is it. It's quickly becoming a thing. It's real. When the Russians release the Mir space station and the footage that they gathered, it's mind-blowing. In addition to this footage, Russia even stated the sole purpose of the Mir space station was to monitor the whole of the North Pole. And the pictures on top from the 1903 expedition into the Nogales This Hollow Earth and Inner Earth topic is starting to gain momentum.
So you mean to tell me that they actually flew inside that, and this is the entrance into Hollow Earth, aka Argatha? This is how they're able to get into it. And did you hear what he said? He said the Russian Space Center, or the Space Center, was originally built to keep tabs over this pole. We're diving into this today, so we're going to lock in. Buckle up.
The Garden of Eden spoken about in the Bible is on the earth right now. It also accompanies the largest mountain in the world, which is being hidden from you, which is the holy mountain of God, Mount Zion. But they have told us that there is no land at the North Pole, except all the early NASA satellite footage has these black holes at the center where something is being hidden. It's the Garden of Eden and the Mount Zion. This is an early map of the North Pole from the 1500s. You have a mountain here in the middle with a whirlpool, and then 4 rivers coming out of that whirlpool. And a river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it was parted and became into 4 heads. You have Mount Zion, and then under Mount Zion you have the Garden of Eden. You have the whirlpool or the river coming out from underneath there. And then that river breaks into 4 heads. In the center here, it's called the Rupus Nigra, which translates to Black Rock, which is also the name of the largest investment company in the world. Coincidence? I think not. I also took a live wind finder shot of the North Pole where they say there's no land, but there's this massive diversion of wind here at the North Pole. It is Mount Zion. How do I know the Garden of Eden is here too? Well, first, remember, we have the 4 rivers. Ezekiel 29, verse 13, Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God. So Mercator, when he made this map, he actually sent a letter to John Dee in 1577. John Dee was an advisor to King Elizabeth, so this letter was literally sent. This mountain was also depicted by many ancient cosmologists. It's not a coincidence that Paramount has it in their logo. Then what do you think this represents? It represents God's firmament with the stars inside the firmament. He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth. Now, if you didn't know, on the flat earth map, the North Pole is literally at the very center, so this mountain is at the center of the flat earth. Just how it's depicted here. Now we're going to read this scripture from the book of Enoch, which was removed from the Bible. From thence I proceeded to the middle of the earth, and beheld after the first spot. Enoch was in the middle of the earth. Then I saw a holy mountain. And underneath it water on the eastern side, which flowed towards the south. Guys, literally just pull up a live wind finder and go to the North Pole, and you can clearly see there's something huge there. If you want to learn more about this, go download the True Earth book right now. It tells you all these hidden things about the garden. It also comes with access to our private Discord community. So wake up. I don't want you to know this stuff because it proves the existence of God, and it proves that His Word is true. God bless you. I'll see you in the next video.
mainly instructed. This is Antarctica. Grab a popcorn. Frequency fan scanner. What is that creature on the back is my question. Is that just some type of spotlight on a rock, or is that literally some type of creature in the back? Obviously this is underground, but where?
I was about 6 years old when I went on my first official trip. I was going with my father and my grandpa Sinclair up to the North Pole. Up to the North Pole. Destination. The best scientific, military installation. Top secret mission. The existence of this high security Arctic base. But the existence of this high security Arctic We drove slowly through and past buildings, all of them very gray and moody.
What was there at the North Pole? What he saw during the North Pole visit? Why it was a glamorous destination? Why there was a top secret military base? Let's go deeper. What is there at the center of the flat Earth? Roots